Colombo Plan for the Solidarity, Economic and Social Development of the Asian and Pacific regions was proposed at the Commonwealth Conference held in Sri Lanka in January 1950. It was commenced on 1st January 1951. The social development of people in the Southern and Southeast Asian regions was expected thereby. Many well-known persons represented their countries at this conference. The Foreign Minister of Australia, Mr. Percy Spender, Foreign Secretary, Mr. Ernest Bevin, Foreign Minister of Canada, Mr. Lester Pearson, Foreign Minister and Prime Minister of India, Sri Jawaharlal Nehru, Foreign Minister of New Zealand, Mr. Frederick Dodge, Finance Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Ghulam Muhammad, and Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Mr. D.S. Senanayake, then Foreign Minister and later President of Sri Lanka, Mr. J.R. Jayawardena, the President of South Africa, Mr. Paul Soar, and Mr. Philip Noel Barker were representatives at this conference. At first, it was called the Colombo Conference for the Solidarity, Social and Economic Development of the Southern and Southeastern Asian regions. Later, it was developed from the 7 Commonwealth countries, Australia, Britain, Canada, Sri Lanka, India, New Zealand, and Pakistan, to an international organization including 27 non-Commonwealth countries. When a new constitution was adopted in 1977, its name was changed to the Colombo Plan for the Solidarity, Social and Economic Development of the Asia and Pacific regions. The Colombo Plan was established as an international organization for the solidarity, social and economic development of the countries in the region. It was based on the concept of human resource development, solidarity along with self-support, inter-support and partnership. Raising the level of skills to absorb and make use of the material capital more efficiently through the Colombo Plan was also emphasized. In 1951, a group of 6 Sri Lankan female nurses came to New Zealand for a training course under technical cooperation conditions. The honor of becoming the first 2 countries for receiving technical assistance under the Colombo Plan was achieved by New Zealand and Sri Lanka. The fortunate persons to come to New Zealand for the 2-year course in dental nurse training were Kamala Vijayasinghe, Alina Dissanayake, Kusamavati Liyanage, Charmian D. Berg, Chandra Ratwatta, and Maheshwari Manikwasaga. They were the pioneers of the new and wide school dental service implemented in accordance with the New Zealand organization. This service was implemented under the supervision of Mrs. Rosaline Katigasu, a dental surgeon of Colombo, who had been residing in New Zealand at that time. She supervised all aspects of the school dental service under the Dominion-free dental service. This group was very honourably and cordially welcomed by the Government of New Zealand. The Prime Minister of New Zealand at that time was Mr. Holland, and the Foreign Minister was Mr. Webb. These 2 persons had met the Sri Lankan nurses group on several occasions. The fashion of saris worn by the Sri Lankan nurses attracted the special attention of the residents of New Zealand. Articles were published about it in New Zealand newspapers, and many articles were published about their arrival in New Zealand. The Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, Mr. D.S. Senanayake, did not forget to meet these trainee nurses during his visit to New Zealand. The Colombo Plan is now in operation, and we would like to present to you the views expressed by the New Zealand Ambassador in Sri Lanka in this regards.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a fascinating history that, virtually from the very beginning of Sri Lanka as an independent country, New Zealand has been connected here through the Colombo Plan and offering technical assistance. And what I find very interesting actually is that many of the themes that were discussed there, or the programs that were implemented, are actually issues that we are still grappling with now. So you mentioned the dental nurse training as an example. We are still now involved in providing technical assistance to Sri Lanka in the area of training. Now, it's not dental nurses; it's veterinarians. and it's more focused in the sort of in the dairy sphere. But I mean, if you look at New Zealand's programs through the Colombo Plan with Sri Lanka, a lot of it was scholarships, and a lot of it was in the dairy sector about helping to transfer or share the expertise of the New Zealand dairy sector with Sri Lankan farmers. And those two things, trying to help Sri Lankans via scholarships or other mechanisms to benefit from the New Zealand education system, and New Zealand trying to share its dairy expertise with Sri Lanka so that its dairy sector can be more productive and more efficient. These are goals that we still have and that we're still working on and that we still have projects on. I think that just reflects the fact that we do have two societies that have challenges, but also that New Zealand has expertise that is of use to Sri Lanka, and that we've been trying. Well, I guess it's now, given it started in 1950, it's now 70 years. We've been trying for 70 years to extend that assistance in a spirit of friendship.